Hi, my name is Nicole Foster, and welcome to the Hippie Theologian, where we discuss many things through a theological lens. Today, I want to talk to you about Joseph, the Joseph experience, and how God uses absolutely horrible situations to bring about his will for your good and for the good of others, and even for the good of those who cause those bad situations to happen to you. So let's look at Genesis chapter 37, verses 1 through 4, real quick. So it says, Joseph settled in the land where his father had lived as an alien, the land of Canaan. This is the story of the family of Jacob. Joseph, being 17 years old, was shepherding the flock with his brothers. He was a helper to the sons of Bilhah and Zilpah, his father's wives, and Joseph brought a bad report of them to their father. Now Israel loved Joseph more than any other of his children, because he was the son of his old age. And he had made him a long robe with sleeves. But when his brothers saw that their father loved him more than all his brothers, they hated him and could not speak peaceably to them. The word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. So, Joseph is the son of Jacob in his old age. Joseph is the son of Rachel. Okay, so remember Jacob or Israel worked for Rachel for 14 years. The first 7 years, he didn't get her. After the first 7 years, he got Leah. So he worked another 7 years for Rachel. Jacob clearly loves Rachel, and this is Joseph is probably the apple of his eye for that. One of the reasons is probably why Joseph is the apple of his eye. But his brothers aren't having him, and his brothers are older than him. And they're not liking what they're seeing and experiencing. Okay, so going on to verses 5 through 8. Once Joseph had a dream, and he told it to his brothers, and they hated him even more. He said to them, "Listen to this dream that I dreamed. There we were binding sheaves in the field, and suddenly my sheaf rose up and stood upright. Then your sheaves gathered around it and bowed down to my sheaf." His brothers said to him, "Are you indeed to reign over us? Are you indeed to have dominion over us?" So they hated him even more because of his dreams. Okay, so number one, okay, Jacob flexes his tailoring skills and makes Joseph a coat. He doesn't have it made. He actually makes Joseph this coat. And we'll talk about the coat's significance here in a second. But then Joseph tells him this dream that seems to be a self-exalting dream to his brothers. Okay, which for many seem, well, why would you say that, Joseph? That seems kind of foolish. So it gets better though. So verse 9 through 11, he had another dream and told it to his brothers, saying, "Look, I've had another dream. The sun, the moon, and 11 stars are bowing down to me." Okay, but when he told it to his father and to his brothers, his father rebuked him and said to him, "What kind of dream is this that you have had? Shall we indeed come, and I and your mother and your brothers, and bow to the ground before you?" So his brothers were jealous of him, but his father kept the matter of mind, which is interesting. So Jacob kind of, comes at him like, "How dare you?" But then he keeps this in mind. It's kind of like Mary. She ponders what Gabriel has told her. She ponders these things in her heart, and it seems like Jacob or Israel is doing the same thing. Like, maybe God's up to something with this. I kind of have to, be quiet and wait and see. So let's look at the historical and culture context to what is taking place with Joseph and the family. So at this point in the story, Joseph is 17 years old. And we see that in chapter 30, verses 23 through 24. He's 17. Okay. And apparently Rachel is still alive, because there's another son that's going to come that Rachel's going to have, Benjamin, which we'll get to later. But it's not it's not suggesting here that Rachel has died. She's still alive. So Joseph is the child of Jacob's old age. So this is another reason why Jacob is kind of very proud of Joseph, because he was able to conceive Joseph, will help conceive Joseph, I guess I should say, in his old age. So he seems to be a shepherd along with the sons of Bilhah and Zilpah. But the Hebrew does allow for the reading to convey that Joseph was shepherding his brothers, which could make sense because let's talk about this coat. And why could it be he is actually shepherding his brothers and not just a shepherd with them? And again, Jacob seems to have tailoring skills and makes a coat. And the coat it's debates about this. The coat is either long, conveyed as a long, colorful tunic or a long coat with sleeves for Joseph. Why? So who cares? Why is this coat so important? There's some pointers in ancient Near Eastern art that kind of suggest what type of coat this signifies in the region, and so they're, thus his brothers. So there's a painting on a tomb that seems to be constructed around 1800 BC of 37 Semites dressed in colorful garments and pointed hats, making a journey, it seems, to Egypt on this tomb. There's another pointer there's a fresco in Mari that was constructed between the 16th and 15th century BC, displaying a sari-like colorful men's garment edged with fur. Okay, so there's some significance with this type of colorful garment. Also, there seems to be a cultural or a regional significance of a colorful long robe as to be some kind of appointed official from a royal household. So some kind of governor, some kind of chief official to the king, in whatever king in the region. So this is signifying some kind of authority, leadership, or special, a special kind of job. So this might be why his brothers are just even more raised, Okay, so, but clearly his brothers are super jealous. Okay, jealousy is a strong ill in the hearts of people. Abba Poemen, who was a Coptic or Egyptian monk, who lived between 340 and 450 AD, had a quote, and that quote is often quoted today, and it says, "Do not live in a place where some are jealous of you. You will make no progress there." Let me stop here and talk about just our current lives. Okay, there may be times where people are jealous of you. You don't even know why. You may be thinking, my life is not all that. They clearly have it better than me. Why would they be jealous of me? Or I can't do this, or I can't do that. Or these people are over me, and they seem to have no good intention toward me, or seem to be trying to thwart whatever I'm doing, or whatever seems to be the assignment. Okay, it could be your pastor, it could be your rector, your priest, it could be your boss at your job. It could be a committee of people who actually have it. You on the outside, it looks like they have it better than you, and they still are hating on you. Jealousy is some people don't even know or understand why they're jealous of you, because a lot of times jealousy is also spiritual. The enemy of our souls could be using people in the emotion of jealousy to kind of try to thwart the purposes of God in your life, but they cannot be thwarted. Okay, God's purposes for you is strong. It's not weak. It doesn't just fall in the drain because somebody is jealous of you. So the enemy tries, even though he's the enemy of our souls, it tries through people, often through jealousy. But God will twist that and use jealousy to push you into the purpose that he has for you, even though the next level looks like destruction. Okay, you have to trust God through the destruction and what seems like a almost crucifixion. You have to trust God through that. You may lose your job. You may lose your pastoral assignment. You may be outed in a committee, like thrown out or shunned by a certain group, or people talk bad about you on social media or whatever. And you thinking, why? I haven't done anything. Why is it they seem to be seething against me? Why are they, ruining what it seems like is ruining my life over something I don't even know about? Okay. Now, some people say, well, Joseph, he shouldn't have told his brothers those dreams. But it really doesn't matter. God's purpose is going to be fulfilled. Um, so, Trust God in those situations. Because jealousy is a strong, a strong evil. But God is much stronger and uses those not only to bless you, to bless others, and yes, bless the people who put you in that situation. And you'll see why as we continue on in the story. So chapter 37, verses 12 through 17. So now his brothers went to pasture their father's flock near Shechem. And Israel said to Joseph, Are not your brothers pasturing the flock at Shechem? Come, I will send you to them, he answered. Here I am. So Joseph is ready, like, let's go. I get to tell on them again. I get to glory in my position in my father's eyes again. So he said to him, Go now and see if it is well with your brothers and with the flock, and bring word back to me. So go check on them and tell me what's going on. So he sent him from the valley of Hebron. He came to Shechem, and a man found him wandering in the fields. The man asked him, What are you seeking? I'm seeking my brothers. He said, Tell me, please, where they are pasturing the flock. The man said, They have gone away, for I heard them say, let's go to Dothan. So Joseph went after his brothers and found them at Dothan. Okay, remember, he's got this coat on. He is a sitting duck. Like, you can see him from far away, and it's more than like, oh, there's this person that we see off in the distance. This person seemingly has some kind of authority and position because of this coat. There's an assignment. So people probably, take a double take at him because this coat. Chapter 37, 18 through 34. Here comes his brother's jealousy again. They saw him from a distance, and before he came near them, they conspired to kill him. I mean, that's pretty deep. Brothers wanting to kill their own brother. So verse 19. They said to one another, Here comes this dreamer. Come now, let us kill him and throw him into one of the pits. Then we shall say that a wild animal devoured him, and we shall see what will become of his dreams. So they clearly have been seething over these dreams, and they want to make sure that these dreams do not come to pass. Okay, but when Reuben heard it, he delivered him out of their hands, saying, Let's not take his life. Reuben said to them, Shed no blood, throw him into the pit here in the wilderness, but lay no hand on him, that he might rescue him out of their hand and restore him to his father. So Reuben, he's not totally innocent, but Reuben is like, ooh, guys, wait a minute, like, we going a little too far. Yeah, we're mad at him, but kill him. Let's give him a chance. And there is this concept in Scripture about blood being spilt and crying out to God for justice. And so there may be that concept, in the culture understanding too. Like, we're gonna be had. We're gonna be found out. Blood cries out to God. We're not gonna get away with this. So let's just kind of kick him aside and see what happens. But let's not take fate into our hands. So when Joseph came to his brothers, they stripped him of his robe, of course, the long robe with sleeves that he wore, and they took him and threw him into a pit. This pit was empty. There was no water in it. So it's empty. There's no food and there's no water. There's nothing in this pit. And they throw him in it. So clearly they're leaving him to hopefully die a slow death, a painful death. And I mean, why? And again, when people are jealous of us, a lot of us think, why would that person be? Why is my sister jealous of me, or why is my brother jealous of me, or why is um, the people that are supposed to love me and I love the most? Why are they? Why? Um, so oftentimes it's people that you least expect that will have ill will towards you as it concerns. Really, it's a deeper reason, and it's the assignment of the Lord on your life. Um, so a lot of times this comes from the people that you least expect. People that are supposed to mentor you, people that are supposed to cover you, love you, shepherd you. You'll be surprised often when this happens, but take heart, because God has something in store, even though this looks absolutely um, horrible. So God often will use the jealousy of others to push you into your purpose. Okay, so we're gonna speed forward, because he's been thrown in this pit, or a cistern, as some say, some readings say, but it's interesting. It says the Midianites come by and they take him out of this pit. The Ishmaelites take Joseph and sell him to slavery in Egypt. So this is this is interesting, because the Ishmaelites or Midianites are distant cousins to Joseph's family. These are also blood relations. So again, it's like, why would blood relations? Yeah, they took me out of the pit, okay, but now they're selling me to Egypt as a slave. So Joseph becomes a slave in Egypt. He is also put in the house of Potiphar as a slave, but Potiphar is taking notice of the hand of God on Joseph's life, and so he sees that Joseph is successful in everything he does. So Potiphar puts him in charge of the whole household. Potiphar is so comfortable with Joseph and so trusting of Joseph that Potiphar is able to leave the household for periods of time and leave Joseph in charge. Okay, but there's Potiphar's wife has other ideas. She seems to be eyeing Joseph, and she is trying to convince Joseph to sleep with her. And he's like, nah, listen, my master gave me authority over this household. Everything in here is mine except you. You are off limits. You are his wife. You are not to be messed with. You are not to be touched. Everything in here I have authority and say over except you. I'm not touching you. She gets angry. She grabs him, takes his coat. He flees and runs away. And so she runs out with his coat, and suggesting that Joseph has attempted to rape her. And she's like, "Look, y'all, see, I got his coat. This is what my husband gets for bringing a Hebrew into our household as a slave. And you really can't. She's suggesting like it's because he's Hebrew. You can't trust Hebrews. This man tried to rape me, which is not true." So Potiphar finds out, he gets mad, he throws Joseph into prison. But this is also interesting. When Joseph ends up in prison, Joseph is successful in prison and ends up being over the other prisoners. Okay? The prisoners have to do what he says, but he is also a prisoner himself, which is interesting. However, there's two prisoners that we need to take note of that Joseph has an encounter with. One is Pharaoh's cupbearer and Pharaoh's baker. Okay, Pharaoh's cupbearer is put in jail, and Pharaoh's baker is put in jail. Now, why would the cupbearer and the baker be put in jail? It might be that there may have been a assassination attempt on Pharaoh through poisoning of his food or drink, and they can't. They're still trying to decide which one was poisoned, maybe. But it's interesting that these two people that have something to do with Pharaoh's consumption of nutrients are put in prison. But they both have dreams. Joseph interprets both of their dreams. The dream is that for the cupbearer, he's to be restored to his position as cupbearer of Pharaoh. The baker is to be hung with his head cut off and hung out. and killed. And so these happen. The dreams are fulfilled. The cupbearer is put back in his position. The baker is killed. The cupbearer, as he's leaving, Joseph's like, hey, like, give a good word for me in Pharaoh's ear. Can you put a good word for me in his ear, like, to get me out of here? Like, don't forget about me. So Joseph, he forgets. I mean, the cupbearer forgets about Joseph. You know, he's like, yeah, sure. He's so happy to be out. He forgets about Joseph. Joseph is left in there after this for 2 years. 2 years. You know, I would be mad at this cupbearer. Like, I did this for you. You know, I interpreted your dream and, you know, was happy to see your success, but you can't make sure that I have success too. Like, I would be upset. Many of us would be. So, but Pharaoh has a dream. See, here comes the hand of God. Pharaoh has a dream about 7 years of plenty and 7 years of famine. And the cupbearer all of a sudden remembers Joseph and is like, oh my goodness, oh my gosh, I made it. Listen, there's this guy in prison. When you put me in prison, and I know who interprets the dream. God clearly has gifted this man or whatever. He can interpret dreams. They bring Joseph out of prison. Joseph interprets his dream. Not only does God gives him this gift to interpret the dream. Because he says that earlier. Joseph says, God can interpret dreams. Tell me your dream. He says that to the cupbearer and the baker. So he has this trust in God that, oh, God's going to reveal this to me. Let's go. So he interprets Pharaoh's dream. 7 years of famine, 7 years of plenty. The plenty comes first before the famine. And not only that, Joseph gives instruction on how to handle these 14 years of this activity. Pharaoh's so impressed. He's like, look, you got this. Like, y'all release him out of prison. I'm going to put you in charge of all this because you clearly know what you're talking about. I'm going to put you in charge of all this. So you're to be second in command. Wow. From prisoner to governor. Okay. So chapter 42, verses 63 starts out with, now Joseph was governor over the land. You know, think about that. He's governor over the land, over one of the most powerful nations on earth at this time. Joseph was governor over the land. It was he who sold to all the people of the land. So he has been storing grain in all the cities of Egypt, so that when the famine comes, there is enough grain to be purchased, so there won't be so much death and starvation. Clearly, Jacob has heard that there is grain in Egypt, and so he sends his sons, hey, y'all need to go down to Egypt because the famine has come up here to Canaan. We don't want to starve to death. We've got to get you guys got to go to Egypt to get us some food. And so, and Joseph's brothers came and bowed themselves before him with their faces to the ground. Verse 7. When Joseph saw his brothers, he recognized them, but he treated them like strangers and spoke harshly to them. Where do you come from? He said. They said, well, from the land of Canaan to buy food. Although Joseph had recognized his brothers, they did not recognize him. They didn't even recognize him. So oftentimes God will, despite the hardship, despite the trials and the tribulations and the points where you thought, like, I just can't handle this rage. I can't believe these people did this to me. God will set you set you apart so much in his will that the people that had your destruction in mind don't even recognize you because of the position and the place in life that God has put you in. They won't even recognize you. You're not even the same person to them that they thought they had and destroyed. Not so with God. Joseph also remembered, so verse 9, Joseph also remembered that the dreams that he had about them. So like, oh, they're bound. Y'all, I had this dream, these 2 dreams. I remember this is happening. This is the fulfillment of this dream. My brothers are bowing down to me. He says, Joseph messes with them. Of course, you are spies. Because remember, they thought he was a spy, spying on them to tell his father whatever. This time, I'm going to accuse y'all. You are spies. You have come to see the nakedness of the land. They said to him, "No, my lord, your servant has come to buy food. We are all sons of one man. We are honest men. Your servants have never been spies." But he said, "No, you've come to see the nakedness of the land." They said, "We are your servants. Your servants, are 12 brothers, the sons of a certain man in the land of Canaan. The youngest, however, is now with our father, and one is no more." So now Joseph knows, oh, there's another son that came after me. Because they think I'm dead. But they're saying that there's 12 of them and one is at home. Something's up. I have another brother that I don't even know about. Okay, and this brother is Benjamin, who Rachel had, and so at this point in the story, Rachel is dead. Because she has Benjamin, and so this is his full blood brother that he is just now finding out about and is intrigued. So jumping to 45 verses 4 through 8. Before that, Joseph, messes with them. He has them put in prison. Like, one of y'all can go back home, and the rest of y'all can stay in prison. And then now all y'all come back home, but you go back home, but you gotta bring back that younger brother to me, you can prove that you're not lying, and so I won't kill you. And so he keeps messing with them, puts money back, has the money put back in their sacks of grain, they bring back Benjamin in chapter 43, and so verses 29 through 31 says, "Then he looked up and saw his brother Benjamin, his mother's son, and said, 'Is this your youngest brother of whom you spoke to me? God be gracious to you, my son.' With that, Joseph hurried out because he was overcome with affection for his brother, and he was about to weep. So he went into a private room and wept there. Then he washed his face and came out, controlling himself. He said, 'Serve the meal,' which is is actually just wonderful of God, because remember, they wanted to starve him, dehydrate him by putting him in this pit. But now, y'all didn't feed me, but I'm going to feed y'all because I can, because God has placed me in a position where I can feed you. Okay, matter of fact, I can feed you so much, I'm going to give Benjamin a double portion. Y'all didn't feed me and make sure I had something to drink, but I'm going to feed you. Okay, here it is when, so God's plans are not just so you can show your haters what's up. God's plan is the salvation of many. And so God is also being kind and good through Joseph and feeding the brothers even though they didn't feed him. Okay, his brothers have got to feel some kind of way. Okay, it'd be too easy to expect him to really just lay it on them for what he did to them, what they did to him, and but this is even better. This is even better. Y'all didn't feed me, but I'm gonna feed y'all. Okay, so Joseph fed his brothers, even though they didn't feed him or left him with no food or water in this pit or cistern. He then, he reveals himself. He reveals himself after this to his brothers because they are just not getting it. And he's playing with them a little. He has them communicating to him through an intermediary. So the brothers think that Joseph cannot understand them, and that only this interpreter can. But Joseph knows clearly what they're saying. So Joseph's not revealing yet that, I'm your brother and I can understand everything you're saying, even though, I'm bilingual and y'all are not. But I can hear everything you're saying. I understand. I'm just going to pretend not to. But jumping to chapter 45, then Joseph reveals himself, says, "Come closer to me, brothers." And they came closer to him. He said, "I'm your brother Joseph, whom you sold into Egypt. And now do not be distressed or angry with yourselves because you sold me here, for God sent me before you to preserve life." You didn't do it. Y'all thought y'all were getting me back. God did this because look at you now. You're eating. You're not dead. You're not starving. Father's going to get to eat. This is why God's purposes are much greater than getting back at haters. God's purposes are beyond what our minds try to conceive up. So, for the famine, so verse 6, for the famine has been in the land these 2 years, and there are 5 more years in which there will be neither plow nor harvest. God sent me before you to preserve for you a remnant on earth and to keep alive for you many survivors. So it was not you. Again, y'all thought y'all had all this power. It was not you who sent me here, but God. He has made me a father to Pharaoh and lord of all his house and ruler over all the land of Egypt. Y'all are mad about a coat. Now I'm governor. God's made me governor. But he didn't make me governor to show y'all. He made me governor to save y'all. Okay? That is the hand of God. So the culmination of this story really is, I think, to me, wrapped up in chapter 50, verse 20 in Genesis. It says, Joseph says to them, even though you intended to do harm to me, God intended it for good in order to preserve a numerous people as he is doing today. Okay, so you meant it for evil, but God meant it for good. Not only God is using me to save your life, God is using me to save the lives of a nation, of several nations, clearly. Okay, people are going to live because God is using Joseph. Y'all were mad over a coat, but now I'm governor, and I'm feeding you. Well, God is doing it. God is feeding you and nations, and it's just wonderful. So that is true restorative justice. It's not just I'm gonna kick you in your teeth and show you. It's God has a supreme, divine, massive plan that benefits many. Okay, and you are that vessel. So when you experience and encounter jealousy and ill treatment and mistreatment and unfair judgment, count it all joy because God clearly has a plan, and the redemption of God will be seen for generations to come. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you have any comments or questions, please write me at nicole@thehippietheologian.com, or you can follow me on Facebook and Instagram, both at The Hippie Theologian. Okay, thank you so much for joining me tonight. Take care. God bless y'all. Bye.